What's good, everybody? This your boy Twice,
It's your girl Tay.
and this is another episode of Facts and Feelings. We're gonna do what we always do. We're gonna give y'all that intro to give y'all time to share this out so that the people that follow you can check us out. We'll be back in a minute.
I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry stop the bill. I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry stop the bill. I wonder if it's facts that you feeling. I love the fact you chillin'. These hours fly by when you and I is chillin'. These hours fly by, feel like a couple minutes. Seen you on my timeline. Hold up, wait a minute, Twice and Tay. Yeah, you know they always catching up. Keep us up to date, cause it's hard to keep up through the day.
And we're back. Say, how you doing today, girl? We ain't even really talked since you been home.
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing well, baby. Let's jump into it.
All right. So we know that May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. So this month we're going to try to focus a little bit on some mental health issues and different things that we face in society as people. And on tonight, we just want to talk a little bit about abandonment. And when we think about abandonment, we kind of focused a little bit tonight on like emotional abandonment and what happens as a result of it. And we know emotional abandonment is a subjective state when people begin to feel undesired, left behind, insecure, discarded, just feeling as if they're out there alone, they're all by themselves. So they begin to experience emotional abandonment and may feel like they're at a loss. Um, so tonight we want to kind of hone in a little bit about this and just kind of look at what path and what journey people could potentially go on when they're experiencing emotional abandonment.
Right. And we know that y'all know that this is the Facts and Feelings podcast with Twice and Tay, right? So today, the fact that we want to give you is that abandonment can lead to other issues, right? I'm sure y'all know that it can lead to other issues. Today, we'll discuss the feelings it leaves some with. When you're dealing with abandonment, it leaves you with different emotions and feelings and leave you in feeling a certain type of way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing we're gonna go to is just kind of talking about abandonment issues. You want to say a little something about abandonment issues, Tay?
Well, when just talking about abandonment issues, just one of those things you think about something that you've left abandoned. You've left it out there by itself, thinking about an abandoned car just sitting out alone. Sometimes those things that have been left abandoned, they begin to rust. They just get old, they crumble up, they're in a state of just kind of going down.
Right,
Is the best way that I can kind of explain it.
right,
Yeah, and we've looked up different definitions and everything because some of the information that we give you comes just off our noggin, but we definitely want to give you some information that we've actually took the time to research so that y'all know we ain't just out here just talking and capping about stuff. So why don't you tell us a little bit about those abandonment issues?
all right. Well, when we're looking at the abandonment issues, one thing that I want to say is, and Tay may have said this, it's kind of like you can relate abandonment to trauma, anxiety, and other mental health issues, which is why we started Mental Health Month off with that. Some of those symptoms that we may face may be, while they may manifest themselves differently in different people, the most common signs are insecurity, right? Or
Mhm.
anxiety in relationships. If you, like Tay said, when you get to thinking about abandonment, you get to thinking about that car that's left on the side of the road. There's nobody to came back for. It's been times when I wasn't working from home that I may be traveling to downtown Jackson, and I could travel for almost 2 or 3 weeks and pass the same exact car sitting on the side of the road. So imagine that being somebody. a person, an individual who feels like they're left alone, and a bunch of people is driving past it, flying, doing 70, 80 miles an hour a day, but just moving fast place and never stopping to say, "Are you okay? How I can help you?" and things of that nature. Feelings of worthlessness, excessively neediness or clinginess. Sometimes when you see somebody might be a little clingy, maybe they're experiencing a love they hadn't had in a while. What you think, Tay?
Yeah, I think so as well. And sometimes, you know, we love our family members, we love our children, we love our friends, but a lot of times those words don't always come out, or sometimes they come out as just like regular ordinary words, regular conversations. Hey, I love you,
Right,
and a person goes on by their business. But when somebody's experiencing something where they're feeling left out or unseen,
hmm,
feeling blind to people, that's a really hard and a hurtful feeling, to be in a room or living in a home with family or friends, being around friends and feeling invisible. You're
right,
there, you feel like nobody see you but you. And you're longing for attention and you're longing for relationship, and nobody see that. And it's like, well, they know I love them.
right,
Be But how have you expressed it? How have you shown that? Sometimes people still feel lost and they feel abandoned. Maybe unconsciously, we're spending more time with one person, or where our attention is more focused, on one set of children than it is on the other, and sometimes it make that person feel like they've been left all alone, and
right,
and that can easily make a person slip into a state of depression.
right, right,
Yeah, and when you're longing for that attention and you're longing for someone to see you and notice you, it sometimes make us kind of creep into things that we really shouldn't be a part of or connected to.
right.
Yeah.
Right, and I get that. And one of the things I was going to add to that, Tay, just kind of piggybacking off on you, is reality is that sometimes in life you can kind of know somebody love you, or you can hear them say I love you all the time. Tay, we've been married 20 years. I'm sure it's been some seasons that I probably said I love you, and you probably felt like that was just routine or casual. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it may be some things going on at work. It may be some things just going on in a family. Just sometimes we deal with things emotionally, and where we kind of be like robots, we
Hmm.
going through the motion. I love you, but sometimes the reality that I'm getting to is you can tell people you love them, but that don't always mean that they feel that love. Like they can know it, but we have to be intentional. Hey, let's just leave it like this. Love is what? It's a verb. It's an action word.
It's action. Yeah.
It's an action. So got to put
Yeah.
some action into it. Just like we said, when that is missing, when people feel abandoned, it leaves room for other things to creep in. Like if I'm feeling if abandonment has caused me to feel insecure, then a lot of times, and you tell me if I'm wrong, okay, but I think a lot of time when a person is feeling insecure, they kind of let their standards down in some cases.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that you might see in people is that they lower those standards, and you might say like just giving an example, guys, just being real. Like, man, I seen her, man, she was in Applebee with a dude that don't even look like her type. Well, if she's been lacking that love or not feeling loved, then we can see that happening. Go ahead. I bet you got some fire.
No, no, I was just gonna say, and sometimes when you're yes, definitely action speaks louder than words. And sometimes when you're missing that love or missing those emotional attachments, sometimes your safety it can become
Mm,
a risk factor,
that's good.
because safety is so many different forms of safety. You have safety that refers to both physical and emotional needs.
Hmm.
And when, if a person is like not getting that safety from those people that they're like attached to, they
Right.
start to, or should be attached to, they begin to become detached.
Right, right,
And those emotions start to detach. And what they start to do is they start to seek and wander in
mhm.
places.
Real
Wander,
talk,
WANDER. They
real
begin
talk.
to wander around in different places seeking what they're missing.
Right,
Like you saying, and when you begin to seek and you begin looking for things, sometimes now that we're living in this technology world, in the world of social media, like we've been mentioning forever, but people begin, how people used to get in chat rooms,
hmm,
uh, they get in chat rooms and they begin seeing and talking to the wrong people that they're thinking is, one person and is really somebody else. They getting catfished and all kind of things. And they begin seeking what they're missing. And
right,
that's that emotional and physical attachment that makes them feel important, makes them feel loved, make them feel a part of something.
right. Listen, you telling our age a little bit because when you said chat rooms, I immediately my mind kind of went back to college. Uh, just when those chat rooms was really popular. But like you said, now it's then even advanced more so as social media. So the chat rooms have really become groups and inboxes. Uh,
Yeah.
as you was talking, the song came to mind, and I know it's not the title of the song, but the phrase that came to mind is when a person feels abandoned, they go to looking for love in all the wrong places because it's not coming from what they consider the right place.
Right. You think about how so many of our young people they get involved in gangs and and at one time gangs were just taking over, just very territorial, had taken over things. People were scared to walk the streets. And then things kind of died down for a minute and then, the gangs began to spread again and then it went from having like two major gangs that everybody's used to hearing about
Right.
to all kind of gangs. It's like what is that? Who is that? Where
Mhm.
they get formed at? And so nine times out of ten, if you hear a young person say that they've gotten involved in a gang, you got to get back to the foundation of that. Like, what made you join a gang?
Right.
Like, what was the reason? And it's because they were longing for something. They
Right.
were longing for the attention that they ended up getting in the game. They were looking for that connection, that emotional connection, or that connection to make them feel important or a part of something.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that's so true. When you were saying we kind of started out hearing Bloods and Crips from TV. Then it was like Vice Lords and things of that nature. Then name stars spinning off so huge. But it's not funny, but it's interesting that you did bring up the word gangs because on I think earlier this week I was watching television. I think I had just got finished work and closed my computer and happened to look up at the TV and it was showing a lady. I don't remember the exact details of it, but it was showing a lady and she was in a store with two kids and they started talking about God's misfits in a murder case and I was like misfits murder, like what are y'all even really talking about right now? Because of course God grabbed my ear and they got to talking about murder. And like I say, this was just this week, but when I began to research, I think I text you, but I realized that like back in sometime in March that it was a murder where two ladies from Kansas were in a rural city in Texas, I believe,
Mhm.
a rural Texas county. Veronica Butler was 27, and I think the other name was Jillian Kelly. She may have been in her late 30s. But these people was murdered, and just like as recently as maybe within the last week, a fifth suspect has been arrested in this case. And it's like, and I think I said all that to say is I think just like with gangs, this is how some people end up in what cults because they're looking for what love in the wrong places.
Mhm. Yeah, most definitely. And one of the things that I kind of looked at was how does a cult like really influence people?
Mhm.
Because being a part of a cult, especially something like this where you're going out murdering people that haven't done anything to you. You know what I'm saying? Um, and what I found was that cults, influence is designed to disrupt a person's authentic identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's designed to disrupt your authentic identity.
Identity. Wow, that's good.
Like, so what that means is the person that you are, they're coming in, and just like a computer, a person that works in IT, and they come in and they, erase all the memory, they erase all of the identity of that computer, that database. They're erasing everything about you, and they're filling you with how they want you to be, how they want you to respond, how they feel you should operate and move. So you're not, operating in your authentic identity, but instead you have a new identity that has been replaced with that of the cult.
Right.
So, and cults come in different, arenas. You got religious cults, you got political cults, just large groups that, have formed cults.
Right.
And, you think back to like the days of like Jeffrey Dahmer, it's like if we've heard, and if anybody haven't, I'm gonna let y'all go and research that. But we know like what turned out as a result of people being a part of those type of cults. We've seen people like get out, and
Mm-hmm.
they've even become part of these trafficking schemes and everything. So people sometimes get into these cults because they're looking to belong, and they begin to dominate them psychologically.
Right.
So definitely one of those things where they begin to work on your mental.
Mm-hmm.
They get into your head, they reprogram you, they tell you how, what the cult believes in. They'll
Mm-hmm.
have you doing incestuous things and everything. So you have to be really, really mindful of who you connect yourself with, who you associate yourself with, because we're already in a time where we're having to try to keep our minds stable. We have enough going on where we're having to keep our own mental capacity
Mm-hmm.
intact. And when we have other people coming in and they're trying to change our whole way of thinking, it'll
Right.
have it all mixed up and discombobulated.
Right. And just
Yeah.
and what I got when you were saying that is that when you find yourself in these situations, you find yourself in a vulnerable place,
Hmm.
and people will try to deprogram you to
Yeah.
reprogram you. It's
Hmm.
like they want to take out the hard drive and put a new one in, and
Yeah.
that's what we got to be safe with. So, again, we were just kind of talking about abandonment of today and where it can lead you. And we've talked about gangs, we've talked about cults. On the previous episode, we discussed how abandonment can lead you into sex trafficking, human trafficking, because you're looking for love, right? And when people, like, a lot of time they call it, like, and I don't even know why I'm getting into this, but like, I'll be brief, like daddy issue. Sometime when daddy is not there, and you find this male figure that's showing you love, I think that may play more into maybe the human trafficking or the sex trafficking. Uh,
Hmm.
but when you're looking at like gangs, you just sometimes you just want a place to belong. I just want
Yeah.
to fit in. Like, and these people, you don't really realize in that moment they got intentions for you, right? You just
Yeah.
want to fit in, and they showing you attention. And next thing you know, you're there. So before we kind of give them some ways to deal with abandonment, is there anything else that you want to say?
No, I was just gonna say, just again reiterate that it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's very important that if there is anybody that's feeling, abandoned or feeling, lost and detached from family or going through the state of depression, I just urge them to, contact their local mental health agencies.
Mm.
And one major mental health organization that I know we're both familiar with that can help route you to a mental health agency in your area is NAMI, which is,
Right.
an acronym that's short for the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Right.
So yeah, so I would just definitely, just encourage people to just Google NAMI and it'll pull up for you. But yeah, but just talking about abandonment issues, what do you think is some ways that people can kind of really identify or can tell if they're feeling, abandoned or not?
What's funny you said that because one of the first things I was gonna say on how to overcome abandonment, whatever, is acknowledging your feelings, like you said. And the
Mm,
first step in conquering abandonment trauma, I feel like, is recognizing those feelings, and that's just like, hey, do a self evaluation. Like
mhm,
sometimes you got to sit down and feel like, am I happy or am I sad? And when you realize that you're not you're maybe sad or you're having sad feelings and you're feeling abandoned, you have to realize what's triggering that.
mhm.
Uh, and when you figure out what's triggering about it, it's I think one of the things you need to do is talk about it. And you kind of alluded to that when you said like NAMI. If
Yeah,
you don't know the local mental health agency in your area, if you don't have like, man, I think it's very vital to have that one friend or one or two friends or even family members that you can talk to, and when you confide in them, you're not gonna hear it again. But more than anything, they're not gonna give you like biased advice. You know what I'm saying?
the
You
one
know,
side stuff.
one side, what's
Yeah,
that?
one-sided
one
information.
sided one
Yeah,
sided information and tell you not necessarily how they feel or what they would do, but what's best for you, because what's best for them might not be best for you. So you
right.
gotta be talking to somebody who's looking at help you in the shoes you're in and not looking at it like you're in the shoes that they wear.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I think, so let's find, okay, I'm feeling abandoned. I'm
Mhm.
feeling like no one cares, nobody loves me. I got to that, right? So now I need to find, since this is where I'm at, what's triggering this and what are some coping skills? Like when
Mm,
I get to feeling down and I get to feeling in those moments, what am I going to do? Do I love music? Let me put on some music. Do
yeah.
I love going to the park? Let me go to the park, because all coping skills don't cost you money. It's some things we can do to make us smile that don't cost us a dime, right?
Right, right. Yeah. Most definitely. Um, and sometimes people think coping skills, I gotta try to listen to some music and then what do I do after that? You
Mm,
know?
right,
And sometimes, you mentioned like talk about it. Sometimes it's hard to verbalize different things that you're dealing with, but the
right.
best way to talk about what you got going on is yes, write it down.
Write it
Write it
down.
down. When it's hard to tell somebody what you're feeling. Write it down, type it up, give it to that trusted person.
Right,
And that trusted person, I know, I don't want us to sound contradicting because, we also talk about like not allowing people to put so much on you to where you're overburdened with everybody's problems. But
right.
sometimes you're giving it to somebody so that they know how to lead you, so that
Exactly.
who you need to get to really be able to talk about it. But again, writing it down is so vital when you can't verbalize it. Because sometimes
Mhm.
it's just hard to tell people what you're dealing with because you may be embarrassed. You may
Right.
feel like talking about it, I'm not going to be able to get all the way through it without becoming emotional.
Mhm.
So sometimes when you get to writing, things start coming in your mind where you can
Exactly.
to flow in it. So yeah, definitely write it out.
Yeah. Sometimes our best expression can be put on paper. It should,
Yes.
when you put it on paper, you can see it and you can even realize that you may have left something out. So, and we say put it on paper, we say write it down, but we know we're living in a technology area and your phone is going to be far more closer to you than a pen and a pad. And that's why they put a notebook in a phone.
Right.
You utilize that notebook and take some notes. So if we
Yes.
were giving you a step-by-step guide, I think the first one we may have said would be recognizing where you're at, recognizing your feelings. Two would be talk about it. And three, we said kind of find healthy ways to cope, right?
Yeah.
So after you're here, what do we need to do? We recognize we've tried to find help. We tried to find ways to cope. I think after that, we need to find ways to rebuild your sense of self-worth. You found yourself in the dump. And I think abandonment comes from somebody else fumbling you,
Mhm.
somebody else dropping you because you feeling alone. So you feel like you've been dropped. So rebuild your sense of self-worth. Is it anything you want to touch on rebuilding that self-worth?
I think, rebuilding your self-worth is hard,
Hmm.
especially if your what's the word I'm looking for? Your self-esteem is low.
Right.
It's kind of hard to rebuild your self-worth, but the main thing is knowing that it's not impossible. You can
Right.
rebuild your self-worth. How do you do that? Begin reading positive affirmations. When
Hmm.
you begin to, when you've written that information down, when you're trying to talk about it and you're getting connected with people, when people start telling you, hey, you can overcome this. I'm here for you. You're more than a conqueror, and start speaking life into you. Don't cut off your lifeline because that's what it is. It's a lifeline to help you rebuild that sense of self-worth. Don't turn that down and block out all the positive energy that's trying to bring new life and new energy and new wind into you. You got to accept it and receive it and start even speaking those positive things yourself, because that's where it first starts at, is what we speak out of our mouth. And so if we begin to speak more positively, then we begin to
Hmm.
you know kind of get that down into our shundo. We
Right.
get that down into our minds, into our spirits, and we begin to believe what we're saying. And when we believe it, it doesn't matter what anybody else think. When we believe it, it starts to manifest itself, because we then start trying to figure out, or we should start trying to think about, how can I get myself to this next step?
Right. Right.
How can I see myself smiling more? Well, start thinking about the things that make you happy.
Right.
You're feeling abandoned, and your abandonment lies in just not being able to spend time with family, or you're not doing the things you used to do. Instead of waiting around on somebody else to do it, why don't you initiate it? You
Right.
know, initiate going out for walks in the park, or, initiate sitting down, watching a movie or something with family, pulling something up on your phone, to a joke, or just
Mm.
anything, just be able to re-engage and realign with your family, your friends and loved ones. And then you start to rebuilding that sense of self-worth. Like, you initiated that. You
Mm.
got you back on track along with your family. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's just one of those ways to kind of rebuild that sense of self-worth.
Right. And while you were empowering people and giving them those tools and know how to get that done, this is what popped in my head. Sometimes you gotta, Lord, I lost it that quick. Sometimes you have to verbalize it until you visualize it.
That's right. Yes.
Verbalize it until you visualize it. And to be honest with you, the Lord just actually showed me something. Well, you know this, a while back, it was some things that I was going through over the last couple of years. And I didn't even realize this. Like, the Holy Spirit literally just showed me this day. During that season, I started watching one of my most favorite shows. And I can tell that my mom is tuned in right now. And that's where I got that middle name Lamont from, right? Just think about, I went through a season, babe, of all I was, you said, 'cause you were saying like what makes you smile, what makes you laugh. Man, I was watching Fred Sanford like crazy for a minute. And
Mhm.
I just think, that was one of my favorite shows. And it's something about Fred and Lamont and Bub and all them good people, and
Mhm.
Esther pop up. Fred gonna say something crazy and it's gonna have you laughing. So yeah, so we've named those four things, and there was one more that we want to leave you with after you've kind of rebuilt your sense of self-worth up, right?
Mhm.
Uh, learn to do what? Forgive. Learn to
Yeah.
forgive. I think that's huge and really coming out of a lot of things in our life. Forgiveness is clutch. Forgiveness is key. Whoever dropped you, you don't always have to open the door to let them back in, but definitely forgive, because I think, what is it that I may have heard, babe, and I'm sure you heard it before? Unforgiveness, or unforgiveness eats away at you, not at the person that you haven't forgiven. It
Oh,
eats away at you because you're the one dealing with it.
Hmm. And that is so huge. Listen, and I wish a lot of people would really take hold to that, because unforgiveness can kill you. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Hmm.
Unforgiveness is such a depressive state of mind and a state of being. Yes, we got to forgive. We have to forgive. Like we have been put in a position where we have no choice but to forgive. When we
Hmm.
don't forgive people, we're giving them that power over our mind, the power over our being, the power over how we perform, how we act. And people don't realize that unforgiveness is a hard thing. We must forgive. Like that, we are commanded to forgive people. We have no choice. We have to really, sometimes people have done things to us that has crushed us, that has really hurt us. But when we think about some of the things that we've done to other people, because if people really be truthful and honest with themselves, there's things that you've done to people that you're not proud of or shouldn't be proud of. And so if you want to be forgiven for the things that you've done, you have to forgive others.
Hmm.
You sometimes walk around, you as in people, us, we walk around sometimes, with an unforgiving heart. And sometimes people don't even know that what they've done is still affecting us.
Right.
And so like you said, it's us that's carrying that weight. People still smiling at you, hey girl, what's up, dude? And they just talking to you, and you still in the back of your head, you haven't forgiven them for things that they may have said or done. But if the truth, be told, you just gave them power to operate in you and control you and how you respond and act to them.
Right.
We
We got
got
some viewers on, and one of the things that Demaria said was unforgiveness makes life harder because you're going to constantly think on it.
yes.
And just like we were kind of telling people that, oh, mom was saying that that was scripture to something that you had said. And Tanisha's on, and I think this is clutch. I'm going to put it up for the viewers to see because this is just being honest with yourself. She said, I struggle, but I'm in transition.
We
Was
all
it
are. It's a
right?
yeah, it's a daily thing. Yeah.
Right. It's
Hmm.
not. We're not ever going to tell anybody forgiveness is easy because it ain't. If you've been hurt, you've been hurt. But
Yeah.
I'll say this: it's not easy, but it's vital.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
vital for
yeah.
self, and for nobody else, for self. And like
Yeah.
I think it was Demar that was saying is when you don't do it, it kind of stay on your mind. So and that's what I was saying earlier. It constantly eats away at you. It's deteriorating you, and I think one of the viewers' mom said it was death.
Yeah, it is. It can kill you, and that piece of unforgiveness, we probably should pull that to the top of the list, because unforgiveness can lead you to a sense of abandonment.
Yeah.
Because those people that sometimes are the closest to us are the people that may hurt us, and they may hurt us more than one time. But we have to forgive them over and over and
Mhm.
over again. You just use wisdom and how you allow yourself to deal with certain
Mhm.
people in certain
Right.
situations, but we have to forgive them. But when we don't forgive them, we begin to put a wall up and a barrier up. And then
Mhm.
that's when we kind of go off into isolation, and we isolate ourselves from people and things because we were hurt in that situation.
Right.
You
Right.
and
Right.
that's when we begin to venture off. Our mind begins to wander. Our mind begins to play tricks on us. Our mind begins to tell us to do things that we know we shouldn't be doing. And if
Right.
you think about it, all comes back to unforgiveness.
Mhm.
And yes, we all, it's definitely hard. I see my mom, she was saying it's hard, but we all have to work on ourselves, and it's a soul searching thing. We have to search through our own souls and search through our own selves and see,
Mhm.
what is the scripture? I can't think of it, but I know, like such were some of us, you
Oh
know.
yes.
And sometimes it's those things where we may have done things to people, and it is hurtful to us when they can't forgive us. Like, we all make mistakes. So sometimes we kind of got to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, and how would, we feel if it was us that they were holding that sense of unforgiveness towards.
Right. Agree. Agree. And like you said, I think you said the forgiveness should be something that's at the top. It definitely should be at the top. But what I would say is it gets easier as you go. And I
Yeah.
think it's when you really tap into what's going on, when you tap into rebuilding your self-worth, then I
Mhm.
think you kind of get in that mind frame of that mind state. Oh yeah, partner, you're not finna cause me to what's the word I'm looking for? You're not finna cause me to cut my blessing short. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Most
not finna be blessed because I haven't forgive you. So again, it is forgiving them. Oh man, but it's blessing you so much.
Yeah, I mean, and we try to keep this thing neutral, but what's in us is in us, and so just getting back even on a spiritual level when we're saying our prayer, you know what I'm saying? Our prayer, our Bibles, it tells us if we can't forgive those that have sinned against us, or we can't forgive our debtors, however you want to reword it, the scripture is there. If we can't forgive others, then we can't expect God to forgive us.
It's real. That's real.
So we don't have no choice.
We got to. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to get me some glass for our next episodes. We thank all you viewers, but some
Yeah.
of this stuff I just can't see. That's why I ain't clicked on it or read it yet.
Really
Uh,
appreciate, family, some of
support.
the comments that have come up is God forgives us daily. So who are we not to forgive? And it does get easier when we seek God's word. And like my mom and Nisha, basically said the same thing. It's hard, but they're working on themselves. Just
Right.
one of those things. It's a struggle, but just being in transition. You
Right.
know.
And
So
like
yeah,
you alluded to, it's definitely a work in progress for everybody, for everybody. Because
oh
when
yeah,
I mean, just think of a flesh wound. Like if you're wounded, it just don't heal like that. It takes time to heal.
right.
So it's cool. It is well. So
Yeah,
again, like we've mentioned a few times, it is Mental Health Month.
yeah.
Looking to have a guest with us next week. I'm gonna be excited about that because be somebody with a great wealth of knowledge that will really be able to share. So, and we'll do a flyer for next week and get it out there so y'all can be ready to tune in and kind of know what the topic will be. We'll try to do that for the rest of the month. Anything else before we close, Ty?
No, definitely just want to reiterate, definitely excited about the rest of the month. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. We all need it. We need to be aware of different types of mental illness because sometimes we're wondering, like, what's going on with me? And sometimes we're wondering how to assist family and help family in certain situations. So I'm really excited about one of our guests that'll be coming up talking about crisis situations and what to do when we are in a mental health crisis. So yeah, definitely tune in, follow the page, like, share, comment, and yeah, just let us know what you think.
All righty, Miss. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All righty. Well, that's been another episode of Facts and Feelings. We definitely appreciate you tuning in, and we hope that you all have an amazing week. See you all next Thursday, same time, same place, Facebook, IG, and YouTube. We out of here.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry start the bill. I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling.